Hello there, everybody. I'm so glad you're with us. Happy Mother's Day. Today, we hope that all of you mothers out there are encouraged and know that you're loved. It's a tough job to be a parent, and moms, you have unique struggles of all of your own. We know that. And I hope that today you're encouraged to continue on being the mom that God has created you to be, even if life isn't turning out the way that you thought it would. Today, my wife, Carla, is going to be bringing the word. I'm so thankful for her being able to share and being willing to share. And we're going to start today a little bit different. So we're going to look back on some great memories from the past, and I hope that you can just join us in reminiscing.
Well, hello, little baby. Your eyes have never seen the sun. You should know, little baby, that I am the lucky one. I get to be the one to hold your hand. I get to be the one. Through birthdays and broken bones, I'll be there to watch you grow. I get to be the one. Don't feel alone now, little baby. Do you hear me singing you a song? I can't wait to show you, little baby, how to crawl, how to walk, and how to run. I get to be the one to hold your hand. I get to be the one. Through birthdays and broken bones, I'll be there to watch you grow. I get to be the one. How does someone so small hold my heart so tightly? I don't even know you. I love you completely. I get to be the one to hold your hand. I get to be the one. Through birthdays and broken bones, I'll be there to watch you grow. I get to be the one. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Well, happy Mother's Day, everyone. I hope that you are having a great weekend and that you enjoyed that video that we put together. Definitely had me feeling feelings. Very nostalgic. It reminds me of a simpler time. Really a time that I wish I could go back to and do over again. I know quite often when our kids are little, we're looking to the next moment, the next nap time, meal, babysitter, whatever it is, because things can be chaotic sometimes. And we tend to just rush through the days and then wonder where in the world the time went. The video kind of reminds me of my grandma. All through our years growing up, she would always have this big, huge camcorder on her shoulder. I know I'm dating myself. A camcorder is what we used to take videos with before we had these. And she would just always be behind that thing, no doubt accounting for most of her back pain today. But she would record every single moment, every memory for just decades. They're on 1,000 VHS tapes that my uncle kindly turned into DVDs, which is what we had before streaming services. And it's just so crazy to have all of those memories and all of those times to just look at. And we all sit down and we're so grateful now that she took the time and the energy to take all those videos. And it's just so amazing to look back at all that. And these videos of our kids, now we just have social media popping up. I think you want to remember this. And you're going, oh, I wish I could go back. And we can't. We can't live those moments over again. And now I smell like a new, fresh opened box of Pampers, not used. And it takes me back, like that new baby smell, or Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo, or like a newborn baby, you hold them, and it's just a unique, wonderful smell. My adult teenagers don't smell the same. It's not. But it's same but different, because now these adults, if we want to go throwing that word around, are somehow very similar to babies. Somehow I'm getting the same amount of no sleep, and somehow there's just as many messes, and it's just as restless as when they were little. Do these humans realize how much of our mom time is spent stressing and just anxiety over every single move they make? We're trying to micromanage and praying about everything, trying not to worry, and then stressed because we're worrying and not praying. Does anybody else spend more than one night just weeping over your kid's behavior, whether they're 2 or 20? It's something that you wish that you had an effect on, and it's your fault that this is happening, or whatever it is, that you're taking responsibility for something that you really shouldn't be. You should just be praying. And there are times that you're crying your eyes out till you end up throwing up because this kid is acting a way that you did not raise them to act, and you're wondering where in the world you went wrong, crying out to the Lord even though words aren't coming out, and somehow your husband peacefully sleeps through the night just like he did when a baby was crying, and you're going to have the restful night's sleep of a husband. But we just have to pray about that, and Tim's right when he tells me to calm down, even though I don't say that at the time. I would never admit to that to his face, that I really do need to calm down and stop worrying about all of these things that I can't control, that crying through the night did nothing except make me tired the next day, and I should be praying, not wishing for the baby years again, not wishing that Tim would join me in my pit of parenting despair, because somehow that would rationalize the feelings that I'm having. I'd be justified because he's made me feel this way. But he doesn't tell me to calm down. Usually he prays for me. He's learned not to say calm down, actually. And he'll take off the midlife weighted vest that I've strapped onto my shoulders yet again, because I keep just taking the challenges and things that my kids go through. I put it on like a midlife weighted vest. Instead of having it at the foot of the cross where it belongs, I decide that I'm going to carry these worries because I like a challenge, I guess. Is everybody feeling encouraged yet? Because really building the mood here. But I know I'm not alone on this roller coaster of emotion that is parenting, that is mothering. Does anybody else feel like they just wish they could rewind the clock? If I go back, I would do X, Y, and Z differently. Things would be different today. If I would have just done that, if I would have just said this or done that, or maybe I should have let that go. I shouldn't have spent as much time on that as I did. Maybe we want to set up camp in the good old days, but alas, we can't do that. We're not being the mom that we're supposed to be if we're focused on the past. We're not being the wife that we're supposed to be when we're focused on the past. And I'm not being a good mom if I'm living in fear of the future either. So now that I've significantly brought everybody down and deflated the room, let's get into the Word and try to start applying it. So we're going to revisit Luke 17. I wasn't there that day because I was visiting my best friend. So we're going to go back and we're going to have a do-over. In Luke 17:32, Jesus said to remember Lot's wife, that whoever would seek to save his life will lose it, and whoever would lose his life will save it. So let's pause there. Who is Lot's wife? She's not even named. We just know her as Lot's wife. Kind of like how quite often I'm known as Tim's wife. Not Carla. What was her name? Was it Judith? I don't know. Did she have a name? She's just Lot's wife for all of history. What does that even have to do with Mother's Day, you might ask? Who even was she? So if we go back to Genesis 19, verse 26, it says, "But Lot's wife behind him looked back longingly and became a pillar of salt." So the angels had came and told them that they needed to get out of there, that this place was going to be destroyed, and they needed to not look back, eyes on the prize, keep going. She didn't want to do that. She's behind him, like they're dragging her out of there. She's disobeying, and she ends up becoming a pillar of salt because of her disobedience. She's a warning to everybody in a field for centuries. And if you read on, you'll see how quickly her husband and daughters descended very quickly into a cesspool of disgusting yuck. She was a pillar in a field because she was protesting, much like a toddler or a 20-year-old that you're trying to drag out of the Lego section of Walmart. She is in a field because she disobeyed. She had a future. She was a wife. She was a mother. She had friends. She had a future and a hope, a life that God was dragging her towards. The fact that he had to drag her is ridiculous. Sometimes we want to hold on to the past, even as yucky and filthy as it may be, or as wonderful as it may be. We want to hold on to it instead of moving forward, even though better things are ahead of us if we will just let go. She chose the past. And you might think God was being harsh. Why did she have to die? She made her choice. God was following through with what he said he would do. Just like we have to follow through with the consequences we have for our kids, no matter the age. Oftentimes, a punishment feels harder on us than on our kids because it is misery for us when we take our kid's phone away. Or when you give your kid a spanking, because we are a spanking household. It somehow teaches respect. I have a whole lot of respect for authority because I had my rear handed to me as a child, and I'm grateful for that. I think that sometimes we're doing a disservice when we say that there's going to be consequences and we don't follow through on them. We create a habit of our kids not believing us. God followed through on the consequences after they already had to negotiate a ton for Lot and his family to leave. They were told to go one way, and they negotiated to go this way, and it was exception after exception. I think God drew the line and was like, this is it. So she died right there in her own lack of obedience. It was a choice that she made. And often we have to live with our choices, and our kids need to live with their choices, and we need to let them, as hard as that is. She could have been a pillar in her home and been with her family. Instead, she is a pillar in a field. She could have kept her family from the swift, septic hillbilly that they descended into. But I'm not going to read that because it's gross. You can read it on your own time. But back in Luke 17, what is the context of this? Why was Jesus talking about this? He was talking about what the days are going to be when he's coming back, that we're supposed to be looking to and excited for. He said his coming will be like the days of Noah, and remember Lot's wife. I think that we've been hearing ever since I was alive, and according to my grandma, ever since she's been alive, that it's any day now. Look to the sky. Jesus is coming soon. And here we are, still saying that, and mockers mock and scoffers scoff. We all think it cannot possibly get worse than it is now. And then the world says, watch this. And it does. It gets worse. We have got to stop saying it can't get worse, because it's going to. All this craziness makes you simultaneously scared for your kids, for their future, but at the same time excited because we know that Jesus is coming soon, and we have hope in that. I remember when I was still just trying to have kids, Tim and I would often talk like, do we want to bring kids into this world? This place is terrible. It's filthy. And now it's a billion times worse than it was then. But I'm so glad that we had our kids. I'm so glad all the time we've had with them and their futures. I hope that they get to have kids. Yes, I want the Lord to come back today, but at the same time, I want to continue living like there's still tomorrow. I still wish that I could go back and redo things, do things better, do things differently, or just relive those moments that were simpler and just enjoyable. I don't want to be scared of the what ifs, and I have donated so much of my time to rolling over every possible what if scenario in my mind, and it's just a waste of time. I want to go back to when people weren't so opinionated, when everything wasn't a negotiation, when my kids weren't so opinionated, but I can't even think of when that time was, because I am pretty sure that when I was pregnant, morning sickness and food aversions and smell aversions was that infant, not even born yet, having an opinion, because I'd smell turkey and throw up. I'd smell eggs and throw up, but I still do because eggs are gross. And Olivia, I'm still pregnant. She only wanted chocolate cake, and I was happy to oblige. And guess what? She still loves chocolate cake. There you go. I have spoiled my child from before birth. So I digress. Is there anything that we're looking back on that is keeping us from moving forward? Is there anything that God has plans for us, but we're so busy looking backwards and wanting a do-over, or we're so scared to move forward that we won't walk in the plans that He has for us? The what ifs have us stuck. We're so afraid to move that we don't do anything. If I desire my old life, I will not be a good wife. I'm not going to be one flesh with Tim if I'm trying to be independent. I cannot be a good mom if I'm so scared to let go. I'm so afraid to let my kids walk in their futures that I keep them from having one. They have a future, and it might not involve me, and I need to be okay with that. If I'm squatting in the good old days, I'm treating Carson like I'm still teaching him how to walk, he's not going to be the strong, capable man that he is today. If I'm treating him like a baby, if I was still trying to bottle feed Carter today, who's almost 18, or I'm trying to co-sleep with Olivia because she's just a cuddle bug, my marriage is going to be on the rocks. Carter's not going to have teeth at all. They've completely going to rot out of his head. And they are going to have zero respect for people's personal boundaries, and they are not going to know how to function in society, let alone they're going to be physically and emotionally stunted. Because I wanted to keep these babies. My marriage, I think, would be just toast for sure. We wouldn't be able to function. I need to parent the age and stage of the person in front of me. And sometimes that means I'm not parenting them. That means I'm coaching or I'm supporting. I'm not directly involved. I need to look to the future with hope as I prepare them for theirs. And part of that is learning to let go. The word says to leave and cleave to your spouse, not to our babies. At some point, they grow up and grow out, and I need to be okay with that. If I seek to preserve my life, I will lose it. If I want this life where I'm comfortable with my kids, I'm going to lose my life. We don't live in a comfort zone. As comfortable as it is, that will end up becoming toxic. We have to keep moving. We have to grow. We have to change. We go with the seasons, teaching our kids to do the same, not focus on the clock, not trying to meet milestones, not trying to check whatever X, Y, and Z box that the world is telling us we have to do. Somehow we're a failure if we don't have our kids doing this by this time, or if we let them stay home too long, that means we're coddling them. We need to do what's appropriate for our family according to the Lord and what our family unit decides. We don't let the world raise our kids. We can still look at highlight reels. We can look at Facebook flashbacks and the nice little invasion of privacy that Google somehow sends you on your watch on the random day that you never ever posted, but thinks you might want to remember that day and that time that you were at that one place. But we can't compare ourselves to other people. We can't look at the past and try to go there, even though I do cry sometimes when I look at those old videos. But how do we not live in the past or in fear of the future? by being present. How do we be present? We need to be a pillar in our home. Not a pillar of salt, but a pillar that's structural. We need to be two pillars, our husband and us, working together as a unit, both supporting the home. Not three pillars. So if you have a grandparent or an in-law or a friend that's trying to be a pillar in your home, you're going to have dysfunction. The only third pillar in your home can be Jesus. So unless that's your friend's name, that pillar's got to go. Your kid is not a pillar. They are not a load-bearing entity yet. They are not ready to bear that weight, and they are not ready to be a pillar. Sometimes us moms try to let our kid be a pillar before they're ready. We give them a little bit too much emotionally to deal with. Sometimes dads can try to make a kid be a pillar before they're structurally sound, and that's going to break them down. We need to be a pillar with our spouse and the Lord, not with our in-laws, not with our friends, but in our home. How do we do that? We need to be salty, but not a pillar of salt. What do I mean? Matthew 5:13 says, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its saltiness, it is good for nothing, but to be thrown out. It cannot be made salty again. It's not good for anything except to be trampled underfoot." So aside from being de-icer on the road, what do we want good salt for? Well, it helps to flavor food. It helps to preserve food. It makes bad food taste good. It makes popcorn awesome. It can be electrolytes in your drink, which is important for your body. We need those minerals. It can, it does make you stronger. What if salt is used inappropriately? Somebody plays a joke on you and puts salt in that sugar, your coffee is ruined. It can make food inedible if you use too much of it. If you try to make your electrolytes with it and you add too much, it will make it so you have really bad explosive diarrhea. That's fun. And there's also fake salt. That's a science project pretending to be food, and people are saying it's food. It's not. It's fake. We are not called to be fake. We're not projects. We are called to be salty, real, on purpose. We're intentional for the day that's in front of us. We need to be the salt in our homes, appropriately measured for the recipe of the day. Not looking at the past or fearful of the future, not watching the clock, watching the days go by. You might be in a rough season. You might be wishing to be out of this season. I just need to make it till this is done, and then we'll have peace. I assure you that day is not going to come. So take a nap, eat a snack, pray, and get back to it. We need to be present. The days are going to pass faster than you realize. And we need to be present, salty moms in the home. Who is a good example of a salty mom? I think there's a few good examples. We've covered them before, just about every Mother's Day. There's the infamous Proverbs 31 woman whose children call her blessed. But that's not who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Mary. Mary was peak salty mom. You're probably thinking, that's ridiculous. If my child was Jesus, I too would be the perfect mom. Maybe he never cried. Maybe he was born potty trained and he immediately just scooted out of there and was talking, walking, and awesome. Or maybe he was teething. Maybe he had colic. Maybe he cried at night. Maybe he had trouble nursing at some point in time. Maybe there was different issues that Mary wanted to parent one way and Joseph wanted to parent another way, and they had to deal with it. We don't know because it's not in there. But we do know that he was human. He was God in flesh and bone, and he went through every stage of humanness just like we did. Mary had to parent him. She had to probably potty train him. She had to teach him how to walk. Do you remember that time that he forgot to check in? They did not have Life 360 back then, the ability to stalk their kids wherever they go. They're 2 days away from the temple and he's 12 years old and they realize he's missing. That's a little bit more extreme than the time that one of the people of my family left their child at the church that was 4 blocks away. We felt guilty about that. Can you imagine Mary's, I don't even know if they had paper bags back then, but she's probably like, I lost the Son of God, oh my gosh. Can you imagine the recovery I mean, they know what happened to Joseph when he got lost. Perhaps he's been sold into slavery. He's dead. He's been eaten by a lion. The options of what ifs are endless. And that's usually where I go, as we've already talked about. 2 days later, they have retraced their steps and they find him in the temple. And he just casually, where did you think I was going to be? Of course I'm in my Father's house. It was probably about that moment that they realized that they're just taking a step back and God's going to take this train to the rest of the journey. We don't really have anything covering the years between 12 and 30. We just know he grew in favor of the Lord and men, and then he's back on the scene. Did he go through that awkward teenage stage where he grew faster than his coordination could keep up? Did his voice change? Did he wake up one day and suddenly he's talking like a man? Were there girls that were flirting with him and Mary was like, excuse me, little lady, back off? We don't have any of that. We don't know. Did she try to show favoritism to him because he's the son of God versus the brothers? Did they treat him differently? How did she know that he could do miracles? I mean, was this like a Cinderella thing where he was literally making things happen around the house and keeping it clean? Was she down at the water well and all the ladies are going, Mary, how are your whites so white? And she's like, I know a guy. He can make filthy rags white as snow. She knew he could do miracles before he turned the water into the wine. How otherwise would she have been that confident? But seriously, she birthed him, she raised him, she coddled him, she swaddled him, she nursed him, she loved him. Mary was his mother. Jesus was her baby. Whenever he was growing, she saw her son. She was still his mother even on his way to the cross. She was still his mother when he was being ridiculed, being beaten, being ripped apart, being spit on, when just a week before everybody loved him. She's watching this broken shell of a man carry that cross, which I doubt a handful of men in this room could carry, let alone the women. He carried that, and she had to watch. She didn't intercede. She didn't try to carry it for him. She didn't defend him. She watched him get nailed to the cross, listening to the mob yell the horrible things to her son. She didn't intercede, and she didn't make them stop. She saw her son die an excruciating death, and I am positive a part of her died as well. Her broken heart holding to the faith that he was everything that he said he was, that everything that happened as he said it would, that this wasn't the end. Everything she'd witnessed over the years was leading up to this, and she knew that this was going to happen. She was prepared. It hurt her. It wrecked her, but she had faith. She trusted the process, and she didn't intercede. She let him have his future. She did not get in the way, even though it was painful. She didn't slap his friend Peter for bailing on him, even though he said he never would. She was peak salty mom, present in the good and present in the pain. She let go. Do you know that even to this day, we moms have cells of our children in our bodies? Years and years out, decades, we are still carrying cells. This phenomenon is called fetal microchimerism. Hopefully I got that. These cells, while they're growing in our bodies, become a part of our biological makeup, integrated into our tissues, in our liver, in our heart, in our brains, in our bone marrow, through our blood. Our children are part of every fiber of our being. And that's why we love so deep, why their hurts hurt us, why their feelings we feel. Sometimes we know something's off that we shouldn't know. Maybe that's where ESP comes from. We need to be like Mary. We need to be a part of the process, but also able to let go and let it happen. We need to be present, walking with God, and having the faith that endures. The faith that endures hard things, that believes all things and hopes all things, because that's what love is. But still follows through on consequences, because discipline is also love. Look what happens to the undisciplined children of the Bible and of the world. I see a lot of kids at the gym and Walmart that could use a spanking. Mary stayed salty to the very end, and we need to be present salty pillars in our home, working in unison with our husbands. We need to be seasoned appropriately for the season that we're in, not fearing the future, not trying to relive the past, not trying to keep our kids from their futures because what if? We need to not be trying to meddle in our children's as they're growing their families. We need to let them be. We are pillars in our home, not theirs. We need to let go, even if we think we know what's best. We need to give it to God. Maybe you're rightfully stressed because your child is not walking with the Lord or the way that you think he should go or the way you taught him. Maybe they're completely walked away and they think this church thing is silly. Maybe they're still professing to be believers, but every choice they make on a daily basis is making you wonder, I don't think so, because the fruit doesn't show. Keep praying. Give it to God. Keep on parenting the age and stage that they're in, but leave it in God's hands. Maybe you have adult kids that are living their own lives. Stop trying to parent them. You're not a parent or a coach anymore. You're an advisor whenever you're called in to advise. They're not in your nest anymore. You've got to let them go. Let them grow. Let them go. Maybe you're a brand new parent or a parent of a young child. Buckle up because you are in for an exciting ride. You're not going to get much sleep. You're going to be stressed out a lot. You might lose some hair and it might turn gray and you might put on a little extra weight. But it is completely and totally worth it. It is the most amazing job you'll ever do. You don't need to look at, I'm not making enough money, I'm not doing this, I'm not contributing to the family. You are doing the most amazing job on the planet by raising those kids. Those little humans that God has trusted you with are the biggest blessing. Even on the hard days, it is the biggest blessing ever. If I had it to go and do all over again, I absolutely would, because parenting these kids is the best thing I've ever done. It's also the hardest thing I've ever done, and it still causes me to lose a lot of sleep. But I want to be present today, parenting the kids that I have today, in whatever stage they're in. I want to be prayerfully present, being salty, seasoned for the moment, a pleasant and purposeful pillar in the home, not abandoning my post to go live in a past in a field somewhere that's useless. You are the salt of the earth. You need to be salty. You need to be a mom who is present in your home with your kids. Stay salty.
Well, what an encouraging word to all of us. I'm so thankful for my wife giving that word. I'm so thankful for all of you mothers out there who are striving every day in your home. You really are the unsung heroes of our day and our society. And I know that the Lord has great things for you. I hope that He's ministered to you and to your hearts through the word and through His presence today. I want you to know that we are praying for you this week and hope that you find new vigor in living in the present as a purposeful pillar in your home. God bless, and we will see you next Sunday.